Greetings, I am God. I am here today to tell you the tale of a wondrous species that I created. A species that would thrive and surpass where others had fallen. One that would survive and become known throughout the cosmos by all. One that was feared, but also loved, depending on who you ask. I looked around the universe looking for a place for my new species to begin. There were many planets to choose from throughout the galaxy, and I searched for a long time, struggling to figure out where my new species would begin. I found a planet with a blood-red sea, and it kind of inspired me. Maybe that could be a place, but I'd rather have a better terrain. And then I had a look at some other planets and just couldn't quite decide. However, it was only a matter of time till I found a place, and find a place I did. I found a home. It shimmered, the blood-red sea, looking at me. The reddish terrain, the reddened dirt, the greenery. A good mixture of terrain and sea. This would be the place Gary would be born. A species known as Gary would be a herbivore to begin with. He would start off as a little fella, and he would pave the way for his future generations. I sent Gary careening across the universe. Sent him to his new home planet, which I had called the Sanguine Abyss. The Sanguine Abyss would be the place in which Gary would thrive. He would live, pass on his future children much knowledge and experience. Throughout the cosmos, a meteorite travelled carrying Gary as a tiny little microorganism, sent careening across the stars, past the sun to his newfound home. The redness of the sea shimmered as the meteorite made its way closer, parts of it fragmenting and beginning to break upon the atmosphere of the planet. Shards of the meteorite would make its way into the ocean, carrying many copies of Gary and his DNA blueprint, sending them careening deeper and deeper into the abyss of the red ocean. The meteorite would break in the water, and Gary would be born, ready to begin anew and make his way across the endless ocean. He would swim, he would search, he would look for any food he could find. He would do whatever he could to find a way to get stronger and grow bigger. Swimming against the ocean currents, he didn't let it stop him. He gathered every morsel he could till he grew bigger and stronger, and noticed that he wasn't alone. There were others. Big monsters. Monsters that he feared and ran away from. But then, he got some ideas. A spike. Something that could be used offensively and defensively to protect himself. And so, he looked for a mate to pass on this newfound knowledge onto his offspring. It would make them stronger, make them able to take more punishment, and survive and thrive in a newfound defensive-offensive addition. He would lock horns with another. Gary would poke one, and it would run away as he scared it off so he could grab any morsel of food, and he grew once again. He spotted a large creature out in the ocean, and many others who also had the same idea. Spikes, many eyes. He knew he was no match for them, so he fled, running for any food he could, anything that could help him recover, and chose to flee, but he was being chased. He grew slightly bigger, and it looked like one of the spiky ones was about to catch him. So he turned, locking horns, fighting them off. So get away from me, you're not having me. And he chose to run away, hoping to live another day. However, things wouldn't be so simple. There was another one. And those giant creatures. He locked horns, and he felt a prod into his eye, and so he chose to flee, but another came over. He began desperately grabbing any food he could, any morsel he could, anything to help him grow bigger. And so he grew bigger. Getting poked in the process, he quickly saw some food, but saw he had competition. He grabbed anything he could, any leftover, any scrap, anything that would allow him to grow bigger, and decided it was time to mate, to pass off more offspring, to ensure he had a chance at survival. The offspring was born and found a great food source, much greenery, much food, as much as it could handle. And so gobble gobble om nom nom they went, munching on any scrap of food they could get, eating all the greenery to the heart's content, gaining more and more knowledge, getting stronger, the energy they needed to evolve once again and thrive. And so, once again, called out for a mate, ready to pass on this newfound knowledge and reach a new era of strength and prosperity with his newborn. Gary would mate once again. A new and improved Gary was born. This time, the ability to feast not only on greenery, but also those around him. Frantically he searched, looking for new morsels to eat, new ideas to glean. But he struggled. Everything was so fast. He just couldn't quite keep up. He spotted another Gary, gave him a love tap, and began chasing after more prey, allowing the other Gary to get some food. However, struggling to catch any prey, it was becoming quite tiresome. He swam and he swam, he chased and he chased. Grabbing any morsel of food, he continued to grow. Until finally, he was able to catch his prey which kept eluding him. Feeling brave, he charged the giant one. It was a David vs Goliath fight, and he was not going down without one. Using his spikes, he plunged deep into its side, eliminating it, wiping out his competition at the same time, and taking its ability for his own. He chased after more prey, trying to grab more as more creatures raced by, but he would not allow it to get away. He continues to chase. But then he realised that he was becoming the hunted. There was something chasing him. It had its eye on him being the prey. And so, it took a bite. Gary put his spikes in the way, trying to defend himself. He's like, come on then. If you want to go, let's go. I'm not afraid of you. Grabbing any morsel of food he could along the way, he grew even bigger, ready to challenge him, metamorphosized to a bigger size. And so, he took out his prey. The hunter became the hunted, however, there were others. This one had the ability to shock him. It hurt. That really hurt. And Gary didn't like it. But it gave him an idea. He could use that to his advantage. However, he would also be prey to others. Being bitten and attacked. He spotted another glowing one and felt confident. Decides to go in. It had a ranged attack. It hit him from far away and it hurt. Ramming his spikes against the others, he charged like a bull and realised it's best to flee. That electric is coming back. He cannot afford to lose there. He will live and fight another day. But he spots something shimmering and shiny. He swims into it and finds some new DNA. However, he begins being hunted once again. Using his spikes to his advantage, he fends off his attacker, barely managing to survive, and notices the other spiky fellows around, and barely escapes the jaws of death as they're about to clamber. However, they do take a bite. It hurts. He thinks about fighting and chooses to flee again. Oh no, not another electric one. Don't shock me. He flees, running for his life as best he can. He calls for a mate, and he gets taken out. No! Gary! There's two of them! Ow! He flees and flees, being chased, both of them eager to eat Gary. And Gary perishes. However, it's not the end for Gary, as there are other Garys out there. Some manage to survive the test of time, soldiering on, growing bigger than the previous, gaining new abilities. This one was looking for a mate desperately, eager to pass on the new information they had learned, ready to continue the species and get the species to continue on. He searched and searched and finally found his mate, and it was time to pass on all they had learned. A new, better Gary, a stronger, more efficient Gary would be born. Metamorphosis happened inside the egg, and a new Gary emerged. More speed, more size, more power. But as Gary grew, so did the others. But this Gary was not afraid. This giant creature with many mouths will fall to Gary. Gary will take them down. Gary was frivolous in his attempt to kill them, and he does. He bested the Goliath. Gave it a few pokes for good measure. Yeah, that's right. You take it. I win. However, the smaller prey would still prove a problem, still shocking and hurting Gary. But he'd become quite an efficient carnivore, eating many prey. He just grew a taste for meat. He was loving it. Everything that got in his way he consumed, be it plant matter or meat from the others. However, this fellow stole his meal, as Gary was angry, and decided to chase them down, giving them a spike as punishment. However, some of the smaller ones, like Gary, were brave like him, and chose to try and take him on, much to their failure. However, Gary soldiers on, persevering. He spots a new prey, and it begins sucking him off. Who dares try and suck off Gary? He didn't consent to this. That hurt. And so he punished the one that sucked on him. He didn't like it. He didn't like being sucked off like that against his will. So he made sure to punish his perpetrator, the one that had aggressed him and took it down. However, he was not the brightest and didn't realise that he was going to become prey to a much smaller organism. Another Gary over there, swimming around in the ocean. This one would continue to survive and thrive, taking on all competition, taking on any that got in the way. This one would not fall victim to some pesky little rat, some little tiny fellow. He witnesses one of his own dying, getting sucked off against its will and perish, and he chooses to punish it. But while he's trying to punish the one that just killed his brother, another one chooses to try and take him down. Another enemy, surrounded. He was not going to be deterred. He chased and chased, making sure to punish the one that sucked off his friend. And he does. And he takes that sucker of theirs and decides, I could use that. That could be the key to survival. Being able to feed not only on plant matter but also others. But what's this? Gary begun to grow a brain, becoming sentient. This Gary had defied all odds. And with his new brain and intellect, chose to evolve once again. And over the course of millions of years, the Garys had persevered. Each one changing in its own way, growing bigger, stronger, more successful than the last. Many perishing and disappearing, but many did survive. And it was time now to leave the ocean and venture onto the surface to seek new horizons. And so, he did just that. With his newfound intellect, he figured it was better to band together. Together they would conquer. Together they would stand. But divided, they would fall. He gathered his brethren together and ventured onto the surface, ready to begin a new life in these new lands, new territory, new creatures and new challenges. The greenery, the trees, the sky. All places he had always longed to reach, as he would often swim up to the surface and look out into the night sky, staring at the stars and the new horizons. They would form a nest and band together. And as time went on, Gary would eventually grow some legs and begin to evolve, socializing with the locals. He would begin to change his form, becoming better, faster, stronger, and more efficient. Along the way, Gary would learn new tricks, as well as get various information from other species on how to improve and master his craft. He would dance, he would sing, he would charm, and he would learn of new and impressive body parts that other species had mastered and were put into good use. He tried to make some allies, wanted to spread far and wide and share this new land. And every time he gained some more information, his brain would grow larger. It would need to in order to store the new information he was stockpiling in his brain. However, the odd thing was, despite all his successes, and the migration of his group, he found another tribe of Gary. They were not like he, maybe a distant long cousin of some kind, but they were also sort of similar. And so, he decided to take the new tribe Gary under his wing after bringing them onto his side, and take one underneath him in order to teach him the ways of the land, and help them to better grow and evolve themselves. And so, the leader Gary was born. This is not the end of Gary's tale, and the tale of Gary will soon continue. If you wish to learn more and find out what happened to Gary and how he became to be the universe's greatest being, make sure you hit that like button, comment down below how much you enjoyed the story or not, and subscribe. Thank you very much guys for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.